A better mousetrap. A statement we all recognize as one of the keys to our present-day standard of living. Competition in manufacturing, competition in merchandising, have brought about an almost unbelievable wealth of goods that have helped make everyone's life better and easier. Until today, the problem of leisure time is beginning to become a serious one. The American woman has long been the recipient of every conceivable labor-saving device, from a can opener to a husband. But yet, there's always room for improvement. This is the story of a need and its fulfillment. The story of the new Kenmore Turbo-Matic combination washer-dryer. The story of Challenge C WD. Sears Roebuck and Company and the Whirlpool Seeger Corporation had worked together to develop the famous Kenmore line, and they were agreed that they should consider a new product. This was a combination washer-dryer, Challenge CWD. Sears asked Whirlpool to go ahead with market research.
So your surveys, boiled down, indicate that there is a very definite market for a combination washer-dryer.
Well, that's correct. The great majority of women prefer to have their home laundry appliances in the kitchen. And since kitchen space is really at a premium, anything that helps to save that space has a definite potential.
There's no question about the fact that an automatic washer-dryer is almost a must for those working women who can turn it on when they leave the house and return home to find the laundry done.
And I'm sure this also applies to the woman who wants to go out for a few hours shopping and to those women with small children.
Now, don't forget the work involved. We found a large number of women who considered it somewhat of a strain to have to lift heavy, wet wash from the washer and put it in the dryer.
Well, I've got to say, these reports are quite impressive, and I think we should take it up with management.
After a great deal more research, the people at Whirlpool felt they should proceed further with the idea of the automatic washer-dryer. It was a decision arrived at through careful consideration. Other washer-dryer combinations were on the market, and even though they'd been on the market only a couple of years, they were already making themselves felt. And it was time for Mr. Mahaffey, Whirlpool's Director of Engineering and Research, to meet at Sears with Mr. Boyer and Mr. Ford.
Sid, our market surveys show that there is a definite trend toward the washer-dryer combination. We feel that we could build a better piece of equipment. And as far as Whirlpool is concerned, we are ready to go.
Bill, I'm inclined to agree with you, but I think it's a pretty tough problem. Mickey, how do you feel about it?
Well, Sears and Whirlpool have done it before, and I think they can do it again. It's worth a try, Sid.
You might be right, Mick. Okay, Bill, let us have a little time to think about it, and we'll let you know.
Sears was sold on going into the development of the new washer-dryer. To Mr. Hauser, it was a challenge in keeping with similar challenges that had helped the company achieve its tremendous growth. To Mr. McConnell, it was a vitally important decision that would involve a tremendous risk. But it was only by taking such risks that a company could grow. And to Mr. Gudeman, it was in keeping with Sears' policy of staying ahead of competition with the newest and best in all forms of merchandise. To Mr. Boyer and Mr. Ford, who were responsible for keeping the name Kenmore as the #1 name in the home laundry industry, it was a must. Once the decision was made, no time was wasted. The challenge had to be met. And to help meet it, Whirlpool Seeger Corporation built a task force. Sparked by Paul Jones and Al Reiter, who were brought to Whirlpool Seeger because of their experience as top engineers for other companies in relation to similar problems, the task force got to work.
Give us a combination washer and dryer that has a greater load capacity than any other. One that will complete the washing and drying cycle in less time. We have to get a lower operating cost. It has to be mechanically trouble-free and at a price considerably lower than any of the competition. And above all, has to wash as well as our present washer. Thanks, and good luck.
Got any ideas? Well, I have, but
The problem was tough, very tough, and this was one of the reasons. The Kenmore washer, the top-selling washer in the country, had proven its effectiveness through the agitator principle, accepted as the best way of washing clothes. The agitator principle works as follows.
there's an agitator in the tub. When the tub is filled to the selected level, this agitator oscillates back and forth, swirling the water. This has the following effect on the wash load. The clothes move back and forth, and as they change direction, the fibers are flexed. This loosens the dirt, which is washed away.
On the other hand, the fine Kenmore dryers, also the top sellers in their field, in common with the best principles of such dryers, had to have a drum-type construction, because only a horizontal drum-type dryer could give the tumbling action necessary to dry clothes. It works as follows.
There is a drum which turns so that the wash load tumbles about inside it. In the meantime, air which has entered the machine passes over a heating element and flows through the drum, drying the clothes as they tumble.
The engineers realized full well that the drum principle and the agitator action could not work in the same machine. As a result, the problem was to devise a way to wash in a drum that was just as effective as the agitator.
Tell me, how much time do we have?
I don't think it's a question of time. I think it's a question of doing the job.
Time went by, and time wasn't wasted. There were washing ideas that would work. There were drying ideas that would work. But the proper combination was still elusive. For without the basic concept of a perfect wash, there was no sense in going any further. Paul Jones was definitely aware of the fact that the main difficulty with the drum principle was that it really didn't flex the fibers to get the dirt out. He had an idea and called Al Ryder for a conference.
Now, here's a sink half full of water with plenty of detergent. Now, watch. What happens?
The shirt gets wet.
And how much dirt comes out?
Drop it often enough and some will come out just like in any drum-type washer.
Now, here's a empty sink. Let me show you something else. You think this will loosen up the fibers?
Yes, this could do the job. The basic principle of water hitting the clothes instead of the clothes hitting the water had been established.
Well, I actually think our troubles are just beginning. But at least we now have a direction in which to go.
A system had to be worked out whereby water was sprayed into a perforated drum, hitting the clothes as they dropped from the top of the drum to the bottom. But the clothes had to hit with the proper amount of impact.
So we have to increase the size of the drum to get just the proper amount of impact.
Yes, and 29 inches is just right. And what's more, it'll give us a 10-pound load. That's better than any of our competition.
As the combination washer-dryer developed on the drawing boards, the overall height to the countertop turned out to be 41 3/4 inches. This would cause less bending and at the same time occupy less floor space, with the dimensions being 26 inches deep and 33 inches wide. Next on the drawing boards was the problem of the water action.
The water enters the combination, collects in the reservoir, goes through the filter and pump, and sprays over the clothes. This new principle of washing also means the Turbo-Matic will use far less total water per load than competitive combinations. This, of course, is because the washing is done with the drum out of the water. This fact also accounts for minimum strain on the motor, which does not have to push the drum through water. Also, there's no need for water level controls because the first water that enters the machine is just enough to thoroughly saturate the wash load in accordance with its size. Then 3.5 gallons more come in and automatically fill the reservoir.
We feel that great convenience will be afforded by this special water heater, which automatically heats the water from the hot water line to the best temperature for the wash. In addition, since so little water is needed for the wash, an ordinary 20-gallon hot water heater in the home will suffice.
This safeguarding filter has been put in the recirculating line to catch lint, buttons, bobby pins, so forth, which could cause trouble. And a germicidal lamp with its rays filling the drum provides a clean, sweet-smelling odor to the clothes during both the washing and the drying cycles.
We've worked out a method of handling the bleach and bluing safely. After the machine has been turned on, you can merely pour the proper amount into this dispenser, and here's what happens. The bleach and bluing are mixed thoroughly with the water before they touch the clothes. Now, this is important because you can damage the clothes if bluings and bleaches are not diluted when they're added through the front opening. In addition, water softeners can be easily poured into this same dispenser.
Another feature of Turbo-Matic is the load redistribution switch, which is an improvement over the standard off-balance switch, which stops the machine. If the drum gets out of balance during the spin cycle, the redistribution switch will automatically change the speed of the drum. This gives the load a chance to redistribute itself, after which the drum returns to the spin cycle automatically.
Through long experience with the Kenmore dryer, it was found that venting out the back was more satisfactory than installing a condenser. An improved airflow has been developed to ensure faster and more thorough drying. The flow now follows an axial direction from rear intake over the heating element to the frontal air duct, from where it is conveyed through a lint trap and then by means of a crossover tube out through a rear vent. This dryer has all the effectiveness of the present Kenmore high-speed dryer.
I see that you have worked out a complete flexibility of the controls, which is fine. The entire operation can be completely automatic or manually varied at any time in the washing or drying cycle. Well, fellas, I think we've got it. We'll build a prototype, and if it works in fact as well as it looks on paper, then we're really in.
Challenge CWD was coming close to reality. A prototype was built, and the real test had arrived. The new washer-dryer combination was ready for its first load of clothes. The question was, would it work according to expectations? It did work, and more prototypes were built. Under the supervision of Sears Merchandise, Testing, and Development Laboratories, the prototypes were put into test homes where they could be used by the typical housewife, so her opinions could be taken into consideration. Little bugs were ironed out, and additional exhaustive tests were conducted under the most severe conditions that the housewife would never encounter in her home. And the new Kenmore Turbo-Matic was now ready for final approval by Sears.
Well, everything sounds fine, Bill, but how does it work?
Mr. Mahaffey of Whirlpool had the answer. Let the combination speak for itself. So, the Turbo-Matic was in action. The complete cycle was in work. First, a 10-minute wash, a 1-minute pump out and tumble. Then 3 rinse and spin cycles. 5 minutes of spin and pump out. A 1-minute reset. One minute with blower and heater only. Just 30 minutes to the end of the washing. Then the drying for 50 minutes, and the job was done. 1 hour and 20 minutes later, Mr. Boyer had the opportunity to see some of the cleanest, softest, driest clothes possible. The Turbo-Matic had answered his question. The new Kenmore combination washer-dryer did everything asked of it. Test after test proved beyond a doubt that here was the finest home laundry appliance of its type, and that it was very definitely ready for the market.
Well, Sid, after hearing about the progress you've made with the new Turbo-Matic, I'm just as excited about it as you are. The thing I've been thinking about while I've been sitting here listening to you is how we should launch it advertising-wise. It seems to me your next step should be to go see Hugh Ray, because as far as I'm concerned, we're now ready to present the Turbo-Matic to the public.
We want to get this promotional program on the Turbo-Matic going as soon as possible. Here are some of the real exclusive features on the new Turbo-Matic.
The Kenmore Turbo-Matic load capacity is 10 pounds, 10 to 20% more than any other competitors. What about the price?
We'll get to that later.
Uses 23 3/10 gallons of water per load, less than half of our closest competitor's consumption. Sid, how about this price?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Total time cycle, 1 hour and 20 minutes. 25% less than our closest competitor and less than half the time of some of our other competitors. Well, now, seriously, how much does it cost?
Well, these are the prices of our three competitors. $4.95, $5.29, and $5.59.
With what you've shown me here, and if you can meet any of these prices, how about it, fellas?
You might as well tell them, Sid.
All right. If you had this price, thrown in those ads of yours, how do you think the Turbo-Matic would go?
Terrific. This is really mass market potential. According to our figures on income brackets, over 68% of the people in this country could afford this machine. And as far as I'm concerned, Sid, I'll do everything I can to help you sell it.
Well, that's grand of you, and we certainly appreciate that. Thank you ever so much.
Tremendous expense had gone into the development of the new Kenmore Turbo-Matic washer-dryer combination. Everything that money and brains could offer had been applied to the job. But success still depended on one basic element, right here at the firing line of distribution. On the sales floor and in the hands of the salesman.
And just let me tell you how easy it is to do a wash with the new Turbo-Matic.
Well, isn't this another one of those tumble-type washers I've seen?
No, Mrs. Hayes, this is an entirely new washing principle.
It looks the same to me.
Well, look closely.
But why did it stop?
Well, it always stops when you open the door, but this safety switch turns it on. See the bottom of the drum? With Turbo-Matic, there's no water in the tub at all.
No water? Well, how in the world can you get clothes clean that way?
Well, look again. You see that jet stream of water coming out at the clothes from just below the door? Well, that's where your water is. The clothes drop from top to bottom with just the proper amount of impact to loosen the fibers. And as they do so, they pass through the spray of hot sudsy water, which whisks the soil right off. Then the water goes back into a reservoir at the bottom to be pumped up and sprayed again.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Saves you water because just a small amount that keeps recirculating is used rather than a tub full. There's another advantage of spray washing. You can open the door to add clothes to the load right during the wash cycle. And since there's no water standing in the tub, there's nothing to run out onto the floor.
Well, doesn't the spray water get cold after a while?
No, because there's an electric heating element in the water reservoir that keeps the water at the temperature you select right through the whole cycle. By the way, there's a filter in the system, an exclusive feature with us, that catches buttons, collar stays, and little things like that in the wash water, keeps them from getting lost and from possibly damaging the washer or clogging the drains.
Still, except for the water, isn't it like other tumble washers?
Not at all. In the first place, since other machines have water standing in the drum, the clothes must fall against this cushion of water, right? Well, this cushion of water makes the washing action pretty weak, and with the slightest overload, it just balls the clothes up. With Turbo-Matic, on the other hand, there isn't any water in the drum, so the clothes fall from the top against the bottom of the drum with a scientifically controlled impact. It's a firm surface, and it gives a brisk washing action.
Tell me, how much laundry will it hold?
A full 10 pounds, about 20% more than other combinations.
Mm-hmm. And what's this little door on the top?
Glad you noticed it. That's where you inject the bluing and the bleach. Do you dilute your bluing and bleach before adding it to your wash now?
Mm-hmm, yes, I do.
Well, with Turbo-Matic, you're done with that messy work forever. You see, this injector pre-mixes the bleach and bluing with water automatically before it goes into the wash water. No bother, no danger of damage to clothes. Also, you can use a sudsing or a non-sudsing detergent, even though other drum-type washers can only use the non-sudsing detergents. We've seen the washing action. Let's switch to the timer dial
for the rinse section. See how I did that? The Turbo-Matic is perfectly flexible. You can skip ahead or repeat a stop just as easily as that. There are 5 drying heats and 3 water temperatures, and you can use the Turbo-Matic as just a washer or just a dryer.
And how about the drying part?
You just can't get better drying. The regular Kenmore dryer, and this new combination too, dry by a different principle than other makes. The clothes are exposed to hot air, but never to the direct heat of the heating element. That way, scorching and burning are impossible. And very important is the fact that the hot air is vented out rather than being disposed of by troublesome condensers that require special plumbing.
How about installation?
Actually, that's quite simple. It just means having the proper current, connecting the vent, and you're ready to plug in and wash. Another thing, this machine will fit through your front door. You may not have thought about it, but a lot of people have had trouble that way. If your door has as little as a 27-inch opening, we can make it okay.
You're way ahead of me. But one thing I've been wondering about, wouldn't it take me longer to do my wash with one of these than it would with a separate washer and dryer?
Maybe a little longer to finish a load, but you saw me set the controls and put in the clothes.
Yes.
Well, that's all the time it will take you to do your wash. Actually, you're all done at that point. Come back for the finished clothes at any time after an hour and 20 minutes. You see, its bigger capacity gets through your wash faster than other combinations. I notice you've been running your hand over the finish. Smooth, isn't it? That's a porcelain finish, and we're the only ones who have it. It's been applied all over the whole machine. It prevents rust even if left outdoors, and it wipes clean easier. Keeps the machine looking new for years. It's beautiful, isn't it? And it would be perfect in your kitchen.
It really would.
And it's actually quite a bit less than the price of our best washer and dryer. On easy terms, you'd pay just... You have an open, easy payment account, Mrs. Hayes?
Yes, but I'd like to think about it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And that's the story of Challenge CWD. Just a second. This isn't the end. Let's see what really happened. The salesman soon followed up Mrs. Hayes' store visit with a call to her home. Result, she took out her checkbook and made her down payment. So actually, that wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of the greatest new era in home laundry appliances, with a machine designed for millions of homes, needed by millions of people, and at a price that millions of people can afford. Yes, Challenge CWD, combination washer-dryer, has been met with the new Kenmore Turbo-Matic.